الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر هل في ذلك قسم لذي حجر ألم ترى كيف فعل ربك بعاد ألم ترى كيف فعل ربك بعاد إرم ذات الميعاد التي لم يخلق مثلهما في البلاد. وثمود الذي جابوا الصخر بالواد. وفرعون ذي الأوتاد الذي طغوا في البلاد. فأكثروا فيها الفساد فصب عليهم ربهم صوت عذاب. إن ربك لبالمرصاد. فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه ونعمه فيقول ربي أكرمن. وأما إذا ما ابتلاه فقدر عليه رزقه فيقول ربي أهانن. كلا بل لا تكرمون اليتيم ولا تخاضون على طعام المسكين فتأكلون التراث أكلا لما وتحبون المال حبا جما كلا إذا دكت الأرض دكا دكا وجاء ربك والملأ صفا صفا وجيء يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي يومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يوثق وثاقه أحد يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. Inshallah, we'll dedicate the thawab of the surah to our Imam of our time, Imam al-Mahdi ajallahu ta'ala farajah, and to all marhumin, those that are present there, marhumin, and ours, inshallah. تسبق الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Inshallah, we'll have the opportunity to gather on this blessed occasion, commemoration of the Shahadat of our Imam, inshallah. We'll continue inshallah with the dua Tawassul by my brother Sahil Jafar, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله يا إمام الرحمة يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوصلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله، اشفع لنا عند الله. Yeah, that's fine. Testing 1 2. يا أبا الحسن. Okay. يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجأنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد يا قرة عيني الرسول يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا إنا توجأنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبو محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجأنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين بن علي أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجأنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجأنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبو جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها الباكر يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجأنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجأنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجأنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجأنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبو جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الهادي النكي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبو محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. Can I pick up the mic or should I just... Can I pick up the mic or... Which one? Middle one? يا وسي الحسن والخلف الحجة أيها الكائم المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا ساداتي وموالي إني توجعت بكم أئمتي وأدتي ليوم فقري وحاجتي إلى الله وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله فأشفعوا لي عند الله واستنكدوني من ذنوبي عند الله فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله فكونوا عند الله رجاء. يا ساداتي ويا أولياء الله صلى الله عليهم أجمعين ولعن الله أعداءه الظالمين من الأولين والآخرين آمين رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
Inshallah, on anytime there's a gathering, and anytime gathering or not, we want to remind our gatherings that it is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then that covenant, that ahad towards our Imam. Maybe it's a reminder for myself to for that connection with our Imam. So we'll recite dua al-ahad inshallah with Allah's blessings. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم رب النور العظيم ورب الكرسي الرفيع ورب البحر المسجور ومنزل التوراة والإنجيل والزبور ورب الظل والحرور ومنزل القرآن العظيم ورب الملائكة المقربين والأنبياء والمرسلين. اللهم إني أسألك باسمك الكريم وبنور وجهك المنير وملكك القديم يا حي يا قيوم. أسألك باسمك الذي يشرقت به السماوات والأراضون وباسمك الذي يصلح به الأولون والآخرون يا حيا قبل كل حي ويا حيا بعد كل حي ويا حيا حين لا حي يا محيي الموتى ومميت الأحياء يا حي لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم بلغ مولانا الإمام المهدي الإمام الهادي المهدي القائم بأمرك صلوات الله عليه وعلى آبائه الطاهرين عن جميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات في مشارق الأرض ومغاربها سهلها وجبلها وبرها وبحرها وعني وعن والدي من الصلوات زنة عرش الله ومداد كلماته وما أحصاه علمه وأحاط به كتابه. اللهم إني أجدد له في صبيحة يوم هذا وما عشت من أيام أحدا وعقدا وبيعة له في عنقي لا أحول عنها ولا أزول أبدا. اللهم اجعلني من أنصاره وأعوانه والذابين عنه والمسارعين إليه في قضاء حوائجه والممتثلين لأوامره والمحامين عنه والسابقين إلى إرادته والمستشهدين بين يديه. اللهم إن حال بيني وبينه الموت الذي جعلته على عبادك حتما مقضيا فأخرجني من قبري مؤتزرا كفني شاهرا سيفي مجردا قناتي ملبيا دعوة الداعي في الحاضر والبادي. اللهم أرني طلعة الرشيدة والغرة الحميدة وأكحل ناظري بنظرة مني إليه وعجل فرجه وسهل مخرجه وأوسع منهجه واسلك به محجته وأنفذ أمره واشدد أزره وعمر اللهم به بلادك واحي به عبادك فإنك قلت وقولك الحق: ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. فاظهر اللهم لنا وليك وابن بنت نبيك المسمى باسمك، باسم رسولك صلى الله عليه وآله، حتى لا يظفر بشيء من الباطل إلا مزقه، ويحق الحق ويحققه. واجعله اللهم مفزعا لمظلوم عبادك، وناصرا لمن لا يجد له ناصرا غيرك، ومجددا لما عطل من أحكام كتابك، ومشيدا لما ورد من أعلام دينك وسنن نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. واجعله اللهم ممن حصنته من بأس المعتدين. اللهم وسر نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وآله برؤيته ومن تبعه على دعوته، وارحم استكانتنا بعده. اللهم اكشف هذه الغمة عن هذه الأمة بحضوره، وعجل لنا ظهوره. إنهم يرونه بعيدا ونراه قريبا، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. العجل اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. العجل يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان. العجل يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان. العجل يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب، ثبت قلوبنا على دينك يا رب. Inshallah we'll ask my brother Haidar Raza inshallah to recite a few words of Salam mercy inshallah in the honor of this blessed night. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
صلوات. हो गए रुखसत जहाँ से मोमिनो मौलाना की, हो गए रुखसत जहाँ से मोमिनो मौलाना की। आज फिर सादात के घर है सफ़े मातम बिछी, हो गए रुखसत जहाँ से मोमिनो मौलाना की। कट गई रो के जवानी सामरा के कैद में, कट गई रो के जवानी सामरा के कैद में। या یاد کر کر کے اسیری سید سجاد کی، سر میں ہے خاک یتیمی، کرتے ہیں ماتم حسن، سر میں ہے خاک یتیمی، کرتے ہیں ماتم حسن، زہر سے بابا کی زنداں میں شہادت ہو گئی، گلشن آل نبی پر ہے اداسی چھا گئی، گلشن آل نبی پر ہے اداسی چھا گئی، آ گیا زد میں فضا کی، ہے غل باغ تقی، پی لیا جام شہادت اے میرے 10ویں امام، پی لیا جام شہادت اے میرے 10ویں امام، بخش دی اسلام کو یوں آپ نے ہے زندگی، ہو گئے رخصت جہاں سے مومن و مولانا کی، آج پھر سادات کے گھر ہے صف ماتم بچھی، ہو گئے رخصت جہاں سے مومن و مولانا کی، صلوات۔
Muhammad. Rahmallahu alaykum, jazakumullah fil jaza. Inshallah, we're blessed with the opportunity to be in Samarra next day with a blink of an eye, next year, inshallah, for any of their occasions, and the honor to visit the Imamain, alayhum as-salam, on the beautiful city. We'll continue with these verses of Salam, Marsiya, and I'll ask my brother Sayyid Taha, inshallah, to recite a few words. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
بارد our salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Rajab. Again, conveying condolences to the Prophet and his blessed progeny and to the Imam of our time, Ajjalallahu Farajah Sharif, on the martyrdom of Imam al-Hadi, alayhi afdal salatu wassalam, and extending these condolences to all the lovers of Ahlul-Bayt. Inshallah, in the honor of Imam Naqi alayhi salam, a few poetic verses that have been penned down by Allama Jawadi, Allahu maqamahu. They're in Urdu, but inshallah I'll try my best to perhaps elaborate or share a few in part in English as well. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. وہ جس کے قلب و نظر میں یاروں نقی کی صورت بسی ہوئی ہے، وہ جس کے قلب و نظر میں یاروں نقی کی صورت بسی ہوئی ہے، اسی کے سینے میں ہے حرارت، اسی کے سینے میں ہے حرارت، اسی کی آنکھوں میں روشنی ہے، وہ جس کے قلب و نظر میں یاروں نقی کی صورت بسی ہوئی ہے، کہیں نقی ہے کہیں رضا ہے، کہیں ہے عابد کہیں مجاہد، کہیں نقی ہے کہیں رضا ہے، کہیں ہے عابد کہیں مجاہد، علی کو جس رنگ میں بھی دیکھا پکاری دنیا علی علی ہے، وہ جس کے قلب و نظر میں یاروں نقی کی صورت بسی ہوئی ہے، دیکھا کہ لشکر امام ہادی کو کیا ڈرائے گا کوئی ظالم، دیکھا کہ لشکر امام ہادی کو کیا ڈرائے گا کوئی ظالم، خبر نہیں ہے اسی کی گودی کا ایک پروردہ عسکری ہے، وہ جس کے قلب و نظر میں یاروں نقی کی صورت بسی ہوئی ہے، نقی نے اشعار وہ پڑھے ہیں کہ ہوش ظالم کے اڑ گئے ہیں، نقی نے اشعار وہ پڑھے ہیں کہ ہوش ظالم کے اڑ گئے ہیں، دماغ و دل پر ہو جس کا قبضہ نگاہ حق میں وہی علی ہے، وہ جس کے قلب و نظر میں یاروں نقی کی صورت بسی ہوئی ہے، اسی کے سینے میں ہے حرارت، اسی کی آنکھوں میں روشنی ہے، پر محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد وآل محمد. And as it was requested, inshallah, we'll recite a few poetic verses as well. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. بار دیگر نعرہ صلوات. As we understand that obviously what we witness around it, the beauty that surrounds us, that indeed It has been the sacrifices of the Aimma alayhim salam, the teachings that have been reached us. As the poet beautifully says, that Islam was had drowned, and it had come to the shore on the other side, and people question what was Karbala. So a few poetic verses, inshallah, in that vein. Hussein, sab teri qurbaniyon ka sadqa hai. Hussein, sab teri qurbaniyon ka sadqa hai. کہ آج تک دل انسانیت دھڑکتا ہے حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے. And as we witness that in the Masaib of all the Aimma alayhim salam after the event of Karbala, how the reciters would connect indeed the Masaib of each Imam, but how they will always refer to the Ghurba of Sayyid al-Shahadat, and how we commemorated with the Aza of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. Gham-e Hussein mein aasum پھر اس کے بعد رام غم حسین میں آنسو پھر اس کے بعد رام خرید لو کہ یہ سودا بہت ہی سستا ہے حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے کیا جواز ستم ہے زمین کرب و بلا ہے کیا جواز ستم زمین کرب و بلا کہ کئی روز سے مہمان تیرا پیاسا ہے حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے جسے حسین نے 18 سال پالا تھا جسے حسین نے 18 سال پالا تھا زمین گرم پہ وہ ریاں رگڑتا ہے حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے الہی خیر کسی کی نظر نہ لگ جائے الہی خیر کسی کی نظر نہ لگ جائے ضعیف باپ کا کڑیل جوان بیٹا ہے حسین سب تیری قربانیوں کا صدقہ ہے نہ لوٹ چادر زینب نہ چھین سر سے ردا نہ لوٹ چادر زینب نہ چھین سر سے ردا یہ بنت زہرا ہے ظالم ये बिन्त ज़हरा है हुसैन, सब तेरी कुर्बानियों का सदका है। अला लअनतुल्लाहि अला क़ौमिज़ ज़ालिमीन, सयअलमु लज़ीना ज़लमू अय्य मुनक़लिबिन यनक़लिबून, इन्ना लिल्लाहि व इन्ना इलैहि राजिऊन। सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि मुहम्मद।
Jazakumullah al jazaa. May Allah bless you and your family members and all of us, inshallah, to be able to walk in the path of Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam, Hadi Naqi alayhi salam, with one loud salawat. Before I ask our speaker to share a few words of inshallah wisdom that all we can apply. There's a special spirituality, a special blessings with a small gathering. If you're able to take a few too many steps, come a little bit closer, so we can truly appreciate and enjoy this majlis the way it should be, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. My brother Gulamabbas Hussein, I request his presence. Inshallah, may Allah bless him, his family, elevate all of them, dunya and akhirah, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة. Special request to recite one Surah Fatiha for the mother of our brother Ahmad Bhai Marhuma Masuma bint Ali Juma and all our marhumeens. Al-Fatiha. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه نور عرشه أفضل الأنبياء والمرسلين، خاتم النبيين صاحب طه وياسين، رحمة للعالمين أبي القاسم محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، واللعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن عدة شهر عند الله 12 شهر في كتاب الله يوم خلق السماوات والأرض، منها 4 حرم الصلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Tawbah verse number 36 says, indeed the number of months with Allah is 12 months in Allah's book, and the day when He created the heavens and the earth. Of these 4 are sacred. Aga Muhsin Karati in his Tafsir Nur mentions that 12 is a blessed number. It is a number of the chief of the Banu Israel and the number of springs that gushed out for each of the 12 tribes of Banu Israel. At the same time, 12 is also the number of the divine leaders after the Holy Prophet, our 12 Imams. A year also has 12 months, in which 4 are sacred: Rajab, Dhul Qada, Dhul Hijjah, and Muharram. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam Allahumma salli ala Muhammad has said, know that Rajab is a great month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was also respected during the time of ignorance. During the time of Jahiliyyah, Rajab was also a sacred month. However, when Islam came or arrived, it increased the greatness and the excellence of this month. In another tradition, the Holy Prophet says, Rajab is a glorious month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah doubles the good deeds and wipes out the sins in this month. One who observes one fast in Rajab Jahannam will go away from him to a distance of 1 year, and paradise will be made obligatory on one person who fasts for 3 days in this month. This is the beginning of the spiritual season. Usually we have a beginning of a spring season in March, end of March, early April. The spiritual or the spring season for the believers is the month of Rajab. It is a symbol of love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us, where He invites us and encourages us to seek His forgiveness, fast in His way, and worship more intensely. In all this, in doing the extra ibadat for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the success is ours. At the end of the day, we will get the benefit of it. Let us all together use this opportunity during this sacred month to elevate your status in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, gain peace and satisfaction that can only come from a close connection to Him. Try to fast as many fasts you can during this month. These are shorter days, inshallah, so you can fast, or all of us can fast, inshallah. Give charity, give sadaqah, engage in istighfar, and recite special supplications and amals which happen on first night. There is an amal for 7th of Rajab, there is an amal of 15th of Rajab, 13, 14, 15, 27th of Rajab. So let's try to make use of either of these nights to do those special amals. And one thing a friend of mine a few years ago told me is, we don't realize this, but this is a sacred month. Even the kuffars did not fight in this month. And if I or you were to engage in also arguments and unnecessary fights, that would also be regarded as not giving the sanctity, the hurma this month deserves. So let us try to be careful of our tongues, because on the first night of Rajab, in the dua which we recited, we ask Allah that He blesses us in the month of Rajab and Shaban and makes us reach the month of Ramadan. But He also mentioned and have control over our tongues. This is the dua which Rasulullah taught us upon the sighting of the first night of the moon of Rajab. So let's keep this in mind. I tell myself first that let us all keep this in mind, that we are not engaged in arguments, unnecessary talks or things like this, which will also take away the sanctity of this month. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If you were to pick up the calendar, Islamic calendar, you will see that we have at least 14 to 15 days where there are special occasion in this month. And this is where everything comes together. It is a sacred month, but in this sacred month we have lots of wiladats and shahadats and special occasions of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So let us make this opportunity of getting together, doing the ibadah together. And of all these things, Imam Hadi, Imam Ali Naki, whose Shahadat we have gathered this evening to commemorate, is also mentioned that either his birth date was on 2nd of Rajab, which was today, or 5th of Rajab, or the famous one which is 15th of Rajab, and then his Shahadat is on 3rd of Rajab. If you pick up the Al-Mafati, there is one particular dua, and this dua, if I'm not mistaken, is from our 12th Imam, in which he refers to the two mawluds, the two Imams who were born, Ali ibn Muhammad and Muhammad ibn Ali, referring to the 9th Imam and 10th Imam. So there is a high possibility that the wiladat also of our 10th Imam is in this month. Two of the famous titles of our 10th Imam is al-Hadi and al-Naki. If you go into the Arab world, you will find him known more commonly as Imam Hadi. If you come to the Khoja, Pakistani India type, they will all know him by Imam Ali Naki. But both of these titles are very important titles. And Hadi means a guide. All our Imams are a guide for us. But 10th Imam's title is Al-Hadi. Thus, taking lessons from his beautiful name and his title. I'd like to share this evening 2 things from his life. The two things I would like to share with you. First one may be a little bit boring, but second one, inshallah, will gain something. The first one is that Imam al-Hadi, Imam Naqi alayhi salam, left with us a collection of ziyarats, and which were transmitted to us by Imam al-Hadi when he visited the Imams, his forefathers' graves. So when he visited his forefathers' graves, he recited these ziyarats at the graves. And these ziyarats are very, very deep in meaning, to the fact that I heard that Ayatollah Najafi Marashi, in his last hour or so, he was found reading Ziyarah Kabir before he passed away. And the statement where he stopped before his ruh was taken away was the time when Imam al-Hadi is telling us that we, the Ahlul Bayt, everything is from us and everything is with us. So everything begins and ends with Ahlul Bayt. So this is one ziyarat, which is Ziyarah Kabir, which is famously all we know about it, and whenever we get the opportunity to go to ziyarat of our Aimma alayhi salam, you can recite this ziyarat at any of the Imams. So anywhere you can go, any of the holy places you go, you recite this ziyarat is as much like you're reciting the ziyarat of that particular Imam. The second ziyarah, which I'm sure everybody knows, but I thought it would be something when I have not talked about, so I thought I'll talk about it, and that is the ziyarat of Al-Ghadir. On the day of 18th of Dhul Hijjah, our 10th Imam, when he was called from Medina to Samarra, he digressed, or maybe the route was like that he ended up in Najaf on 18th of Dhul Hijjah. If I'm not mistaken, 18th of Dhul Hijjah. But anyway, he was at the grave of Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And then he recited this very beautiful ziyarat. I myself have to be honest, this was the first time last day of Ghadir I took opportunity, it was a weekend, to sit down and read the translation only. It's an excellent ziyarat. It is full of virtues and fada'il and the challenges of Imam Ali alayhi salam. If you love your Imam Ali, and we are all lovers of Ali, I have literally goosebumps talking about this. In this a very lengthy ziyarat, it takes a long time to do, but maybe on the day of Ghadir in the afternoon, sit down and read the translation of it. It will bring lights and lights of fadail for you, of Imam Ali alayhi salam. So I've taken some passages from the ziyarat and sharing with you all. Imam Hadi alayhi salam addresses his grandfather, Imam Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, in the following way. He says, "And you were the first who believed in Allah and offered prayer for Him, fought in His way, and did well in the house of polytheism, where the earth was full of deviation and shaitan was worshipped openly." Today, the Muslims are fighting. 1400 years later, they are fighting. Who was the first Muslim? Who was the first who accepted Islam? Who was the first who prayed? These are the debates which certain people are sticky points, right? But alhamdulillah, we have a clear documentation from our Imam that nobody was first accepting the message of Rasulullah but Imam Ali alayhi salam from men, and none but Janab Khadijat al-Kubra from women. And these two people were the first who followed Rasulullah. Not that they were Muslims or anything, but they accepted the message when Rasulullah shared with them. How wonderfully our 10th Imam addresses his grandfather by the virtue which is reserved for Imam Ali alayhi salam, that he is the first to believe and offer prayers for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Furthermore, Imam talks about the battles of Imam Ali alayhi salam, and he talks particularly about 2 battles. And these 2 battles were very decisive battles for Islam. He says, Imam says, you had a memorable situations, famous occasions, and great days. The day of Battle of Badr and the day of the Battle of Ahzab. Why these two battles? We have to learn and know history that why these two battles. The Battle of Badr was the first battle the Muslims fought against the Kuffar. And there was a big victory for the Muslims. Allah sent angels to assist the Muslims. They were very few and they were victorious. And then there was the Battle of Ahzab. In this Battle of Ahzab, the Kuffars came together with the Jews, and they came and they attacked Medina. And at the advice of Salman, they dug a trench around the city so that people could not cross it. But there were 5 men who were able to cross it. And then Amr ibn Abdawad La'natullah alayh put up an open challenge for the Muslims. And they say the Muslims' heads were down as if birds were sitting on their heads. And there was nobody but Imam Ali alayhi salam who stood up 3 times, if I'm not mistaken, and said, I will go and answer the call. I will answer this person. And that is the day when Rasulullah raised his hands and prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, O Allah, protect Ali from all sides. O Allah, Ubaidah bin Harith was taken away from me on the day of Badr. And the Lion of Allah, Hazrat Hamza, was taken away from me in the Battle of Uhud. O Nourisher, protect Ali from being harmed by the enemy. And then the famous saying of Rasulullah where he said, Baraz al-imanu kullu ala al-kufri kulli. Today, complete iman is now going to fight against complete kufr. We explained this statement during the time of Wilad of Janab Sayyida by saying Fatima is Fatima. How she completes Hazrat Ali's iman. But here is where Rasulullah said the full iman is going to fight against the full kufr. Furthermore, in these 2 battles in the Ziyarah are because they were the decisive battles of the Muslims. Further in the Ziyarah, Imam Hadi alayhi salam mentions the virtues, the fadail of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And there are many of them, but I've only taken a few. He says the sleeping of Imam Ali on the bed of Rasulullah on the night of Hijrah, and then Allah making a bargain with Imam Ali and buying his soul, right? This is in the Quran also. So this is one of the greatest fadila of Imam Ali. The second fadila which Imam mentioned is defending Rasulullah by Imam Ali in the Battle of Uhud when most of the people ran away. It's very particular. This Ziyarat pinpoints those points or those things which are very hurtful to everybody. Then he mentioned about the Battle of Khaybar, and it was due to the bravery of Imam Ali alayhi salam that the Muslim gained victory. And then there are other virtues which are mentioned. At one point in the Ziyarat, Imam Hadi, Imam Ali al-Naki alayhi salam says something else, and I will share the exact passage. But before that, I want to give you a quick preamble to it, and that is, a lot of times we hear, and unfortunately also we hear from Shia scholars, and Shia, not scholars, but Shia people, saying that Imam Ali gave bayat to the 1, 2, and 3, la'natullah alayh. Or he was quiet, or he did not do anything, or he did not fight for his right. All these are false accusations for Imam Amir. But see what Imam Hadi is saying in the statement of Ziyarat. He says, I witnessed that you contradicted desires, allied with piety, suppressed anger, pardoned people, became angry when Allah was disobeyed, became pleased when Allah was obeyed, carried out what you were entrusted with, kept what you were confided, so secrets were kept with Imam Ali, achieved what you were charged with, and waited for what you were promised. What was he promised? And I witnessed that you did not avoid some people out of humbleness, nor refrain from your right. This is the right of Khilafat, which Imam is talking. Not refrain from your right in Khilafat with grief, or abstain from confronting the exhorter of your right out of subservience. Imam did not keep quiet. He made it known that it was his right. Furthermore, Imam says, nor you showed satisfaction unlike the satisfaction of Allah out of flattery. Nor you became weak after you were what you faced for the sake of Allah. Nor you weakened or gave up the demanding of your right and lay in wait. God forbid. You were not so, but if you were wronged, you were content with what your Lord and entrusted your affairs to him. Imam has clearly given us a guide. Imam Hadi is giving us a guide for Imam Amir. What he is saying, you never kept quiet for your rights. You fought for your rights. But if Allah wished that that was part of your test, then this is my interpretation, not from Imam. If it was a test for Imam Amir, then he accepted the test and he kept quiet. And this should be written and in our minds when we are asked that what proof you have that Imam stood up and fought. Here is a statement by his son saying that my grandfather did not sit quietly. And he continues, he said, you did not mind misfortunes and did not were not weakened and distressed, and did not abstain from fighting against falselessness. It was you who said, neither do the masses of people around me increase my glory, nor does their separation for me cause me loneliness, even if all people betray me. Everybody leaves behind Ali, but Ali was Ali. He stood by. And that is why we were told, Rasulullah told one of the companions, I don't remember the name, he told him, if you see everybody going one way and you see Ali going the other way, follow the way that Ali is going. And then Imam continues and says, Allah the Almighty responded to his prophet's call concerning you. And then he ordered him to announce that he entrusted you with the affair of Khilafat, of this nation, as a glorification for you. This was a glorification for Imam to be appointed as the Khalifa, as the Wasi of Rasulullah, declaring your proof and refuting the falsehood and fabricated excuses. When he feared sedition from the desolate and feared for you from the hypocrites, the Lord of the worlds revealed to him, and then the verse of the Quran where Allah tells his Prophet to make the announcement, Ya ayyuhar Rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, wa in lam taf'al fama ballagta risalata, wallahu ya'asimuka minan nas, inna Allaha la yahdil qawmal kafirin. See how the preamble is. It was the glory for Imam Ali to be declared as the Wasi of Rasulullah. And O Messenger, and then the ayat of the Quran, O Messenger, deliver what has been revealed to you from your Lord. And if you do not do it, then you have not delivered his message, and Allah will protect you from the people. And then in the same Ziyarah, there is the famous verse, famous quotation which we all love to hear all the time, and that is where Rasulullah raised the hands and said, Man kuntu mawlahu fahadha aliyun mawla. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And then Imam mentions the Battle of Siffin. See how the chronological order of Imam Ali's old life is being mentioned by Imam Hadi in this Ziyarah. He says, when the copies of the Quran were raised and you said, he warned the people when the copies of the Quran were raised, O people, you are being tried by it and being deceived. Do not look at the copies of the Quran which have been raised on the spears. I am telling you, follow what I am telling you so that you will be guided. But people did not listen. In short, as the lovers of Ali alayhi salam, if you want to see all the virtues of Imam Ali alayhi salam in one place, then it is found in the Ziyarah of al-Hadi alayhi salam by our 10th Imam, Imam Hadi alayhi salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. In the second part of my lecture this evening, I have chosen a saying which I heard from a very renowned scholar. I tried very best to look for this particular saying of Imam Hadi alayhi salam, but I was not able to find. So I will refer this saying from a scholar whom I heard from. The renowned scholar Sheikh Nur Muhammad says that Imam Hadi alayhi salam has said, "Thank Allah for the Iman, faith He has given you. Thank Allah for the health which He has given you. And thank Allah for the contentment, qana'ah, that He has given you." Three things. Do this every day. At the end of the day, go into the sajda and thank Allah for these three things: faith, health, and contentment. As you acknowledge these three things which Allah has provided you with, Allah will increase in your tawfiqat. And let's break down these three things and listen. First thing is Iman, faith. Aren't we all thankful that we have the faith in our heart that Allah is one? We are Muslims and we are on the path of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. This is Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The greatest blessing that we are on the path of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Every time when you are reading Quran and you come across the Quranic verse which begins with Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, bring this to your mind that Allah is now directly talking to you. There are ways of studying Quran, and one of the ways is when you come across the Quranic verse, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, listen, understand, this is Allah is addressing you in particular because you have faith, you have Iman. Thank Him that He is directly addressing you from the Quran. We say Quran speaks to us. This is Quran speaking to me. When we read the verse of Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. Second thing, health. We all know how important this is in our lives. We have health and thus we are able to do everything we want to do. If we do not have health, we will not be able to do. To the extent with the health which Allah has provided to us in our ghafla, in our certain situations, we sin. We do guna of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the same health which Allah has provided to us. Those who are bedridden and those who have lost good health, go and ask them, what is health? And they will tell you health is wealth. If you have health, then anything is possible. Thus, the need to constantly be thankful to Him for giving you a good health. And the last thing is contentment. Qana'ah, to be content. The satisfaction which only comes with humility and thankfulness. People have all kinds of things in this world, but ask most of them and they will say they are not satisfied. We live in a world of instant gratification and instant satisfaction. If I want something, I want that thing right now. And these days, these phones and these tablets have made it worst. I want something, just go on Amazon, order with Prime, you get it the next day. And in this time of satisfaction and getting instant gratification, to be content with what Allah has given you is a hard thing to come by. It's extremely hard thing to come by. Think about it tonight when you go home. And I have thought about it, and that's what I'm asking you. In contrast, we have those people who when you look at them, they are content with whatever they have and they are calm. They are completely calm and they are content with whatever they have. And they are always smiling and in front of everybody. And sometimes you wonder how can they how can they live in this world of struggles. But they are content, and this is one of the tawfiqat, one of the best things of Allah which Allah provides to His special servants. These people live a life of satisfaction with whatever Allah has given them and are happy with it. These three things, Iman, health, and contentment, are something which none of us can give it to each other. I cannot give you Iman, or you cannot give me Iman. I cannot give you my health and take your health away, and I cannot give you my contentment, or you can give me your contentment. These three things are specifically reserved for people by Allah. Allah will give only to those people who He knows whom to give. Sometimes you think we have all three of them, but sit down and think. When you sit down and think, you will find that you are either missing one of them or two of them, but you don't have all three of them. And that is why we go back to the circle where Imam says, on a daily basis, Imam says to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gave you Iman, He gave you health, and He gave you contentment. If we look in all this, then it is salvation for our own self. And this is a great saying of our 10th Imam, which we all can learn from and take a lesson from. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Zikr of Ahl al-Bayt is not zikr, it cannot be completed without the historical facts which the Imam or the Ahl al-Bayt faced. And in these historical facts which I am sharing with you, there is Masayib of Imam al-Hadi alayhi salam too. The Abbasid caliphs were jealous of the Imam. Imam was forced to leave Medina and travel north to the northern Iraq, northern part of the Iraq in the city called Samarra. It was during the time of Abbasid Caliph Mutawakkil that Mutawakkil leads some of the heinous and the worst things he did, crimes he committed, which hurt Imam himself. What were these crimes? He wanted to destroy the tomb of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Mutawakkil was the one who did this. And it hurt Imam that my grandfather's tomb is now going to be destroyed. Sometimes people were gathered and they were killed because they were going for the Ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Sometimes people were told, two of you are going, one has to die, one has to go for the Ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And these were the things which hurt Imam alayhi salam. How it hurt him, I will come to it, and you will see how Imam promoted a Ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Once Imam was sick and bedridden. Abu Hashimi, one of his companions, I believe, visits the Imam Hadi alayhi salam. And Imam asks him to send someone to Hayri Husseini to pray for his quick recovery. See, Imam Hadi alayhi salam, 10th Imam, is sick and bedridden, and he is asking somebody to go to Karbala to pray for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, to pray for him at the Hayri of Husseini alayhi salam. Abu Hashimi asked another person, Ali bin Bilal, to go to Karbala and pray for Imam Hadi alayhi salam. Ali ibn Bilal agrees to go, but he had a question in his mind. And he asked Abu Hashimi that why is not Imam himself a hujjah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is not Imam himself the representative and has the ability to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for shafa? And in return, Abu Hashimi asked Imam alayhi salam. And Imam alayhi salam, in his words, he says this. He says, the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam was superior than Kaaba and Hajr al-Aswad. Prophet was superior to Kaaba and Hajr al-Aswad. Yet, nonetheless, he would circle the Kaaba and appeal to Hajr al-Aswad. They are militaries of Allah on the earth, and Allah must be invoked through these means. And the prayer of people is granted through such intermediaries, and Hayr Husseini is one of them. So we understand from this statement of Imam, he is promoting people to go to Ziyarat. He is promoting people to not forget Imam Hussein and to visit Karbala regularly. And at the same time, he is asking us that when we go to Karbala or we are from far, ask to Allah with the intercession, with the silsila of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and your du'as will be accepted. And this was the first part which I want to share from the history of Imam Hadi. It is hurtful that you see your grandfather's tomb being destroyed. It is hurtful when you hear that Mutawakkil is now trying to bring the river of Furat towards Imam's grave so that the graves are destroyed. It is hurtful to know that the Shias are trying to go for the Ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and they are being killed. And this was very hurtful for our 10th Imam. And in the same way, this Mutawakkil Mal'oon insults our Imam in a very unique way. All our Imams were challenged. They were challenged for their lives. They were challenged with different things. But Imam Hadi, our 10th Imam, was challenged or was insulted by Mutawakkil by two things. And you will hear this. And it is a very, very disturbing thing when these two things are found in the followers of Imam Hadi alayhi salam. Imam alayhi salam is invited to the courtyard of Mutawakkil Mal'oon, and he has a glass of wine in his hand. And he offers the wine to Imam. He offers that he had the audacity of saying, Imam, here, drink this. Imam was very patient. He said, by saying, our blood and flesh is far away from these filthy things. Mutawakkil then makes the second request. And look at these things and think. He says, O Abul Hassan, today our regular singer and entertainer has not come. How nice would it be that you sing for us? I ask all of us together when we sing or when we, na'udhu billah, have alcohol, how can we, these were the worst insults which our 10th Imam faced. Go pick up the history and look at the history of all our Imams. No Imam was insulted in this manner. To sing and to drink wine. They were asked to do this most heinous crimes. Again, Imam refuses and says, I'm not going to sing for you. Mutawakkil insists, and Imam says, you want to listen? And then he says some poetry. These poetry were so heart-wrenching and they were so touching that the Mutawakkil forgot everything. He took a glass of wine, threw it on the wall, and started crying profusely. And some of the words in English I am going to share with you, where Imam, these are the words of Imam, and of course these words will have effect on us also. Imam says, they made the lofty and high peaks their residence and permanently stationed armed guards to watch that, but none of those could stop the death from approaching them. Finally and consecutively, after all the grandeur, they were dragged from their grand palaces into the ditches of the grave, and how unfortunately they fell into those bad steeps. After the burial, the voice of the caller of Allah raised, saying, where did those decorations and crowns and magnanimities and ostentations go? Where did those wealthy and luxurious faces, in front of whom curtains and laurels were hung and placed, go? At that time of their being questioned, the grave answers eloquently, these are the faces which are presently the attacking spots of worms and insects. They ate and drank for long times. Right now they are cells being eaten up by worms and insects. For ages they built houses to dwell in, but they got separated and away from these houses and transferred into another place. This another place is grave. They had been accumulating riches and wealth for long times, but now they dispersed all those wealth among their enemies, and they departed. Everything was left behind, and people went into the graves, and it is a lesson for us. We build houses and we have cars and we have all kinds of luxuries. We will leave everything behind and go into the graves, and we will, what we eat today, tomorrow somebody will eat our flesh and blood. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us tawfiq. It is reported that when the jealous Mu'tazil Billah could not stand Imam's presence, that he had Imam poisoned. Imam, just like his forefathers, suffered and then attained Shahadat on the 3rd of Rajab in the 254 AH. Imam had his own house in Samarra and is there where Imam is buried. Azadaran Imam Hussein. بس جملے مصائب کے اردو میں امام علی النقی کبھی یہ سن کر روتے تھے کہ آج متوکل کا لشکر کربلا میں مظلوم حسین کا نشان قبر مٹانے گیا ہے. کبھی یہ سن کر روئے کہ آج شہدائے کربلا کی قبر پر حل چلایا جائے گا. کبھی یہ سن کر روئے کہ تشنکام امام کی قبر پر نہر فرات کاٹ کر لے آئی جائے گی. کبھی یہ سن کر روئے کہ جد مظلوم کے زائروں کو مار کے قبر سے جدا کیا گیا. کبھی یہ خبر آئی کہ زائروں کے ہاتھ پیر قلم کیے گئے. کبھی یہ معلوم ہوا کہ زائروں کے جماعت کثیر کربلا میں قتل کی گئی. عزادارو یہ کیا کم مصیبتیں تھی کہ امام کے اوپر کہ پھر بھی ظالموں کو تسکین نہ ہوا. متوکل کے بعد معتزب باللہ تخت سلطنت پر بیٹھ گیا. امام نقی کا دشمن جانب ہو گیا. آخر اس نے امام کو زہر دیا. امام علی النقی کے جگر کے ٹکڑے منہ سے خارج ہوئے اور صرف امام حسن عسکری اس کم سنی کے میں پاس تھے. کوئی اپنا مونس و ہمدرد پاس نہ تھا. بار بار امام اپنے فرزند کو گلے سے لگاتے تھے اور وصیتیں فرماتے تھے. اس عالم بے قراری میں امام 3 رجب کو راہی جنت ہوئے. زمین سامرا میں پہلی قبر جگر پار رسول کی واقع ہوئی. عزادارو ہمارے اس غریب امام پر بڑی مشقتیں اٹھائی گئی. 12 سال قید اور نظر بندی میں گزاری. پھر بھی دفن و کفن نصیب ہوا، مگر اللہ اسی امام کے دادا کی میت کربلا کے چلتی زمین پر پڑی رہی. عزادارو ہم ہمارے 11ویں امام حسن عسکری کو پرسہ دینے کے لیے جمع ہوئے. مولا امام حسن عسکری آپ کو بابا کو کفن دینے کا موقع ملا. آپ اپنے بابا کے ساتھ تھے. آپ اپنے بابا کو اپنے بابا کے ہی گھر میں دفن کیا، مگر ہائے افسوس آپ کے دادا امام سجاد 11 محرم کو جب اسی جگہ سے لے جایا گیا جہاں مظلوم بابا اور شہدائے کربلا کی لاشیں پڑی ہوئی تھی. ایک وقت تھا کہ امام کی روح پرواز کر جاتی. جناب زینب نے یہ دیکھا، اپنے کو اونٹ سے گرا دیا. اے بیٹا سجاد اپنے آپ کو سنبھالو. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين والصيام الذين ظلموا عن منك لم ينقلبون. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. مات حسين.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.
دل داده حسینو دل تنگ کربلاییم دل داده حسینو دل تنگ کربلاییم بی تاب تشنگی ها قربانی مناییم قربانی مناییم از زمزم اشک است شور مدام ما احرام خون بستیم از ظهر عاشورا لبیک اللهم لبیک لبیک لا شریک لک لبیک لبیک اللهم لبیک لبیک لا شریک لک لبیک دل داده حسینو دل تنگ کربلاییم بی تاب تشنگی ها قربانی مناییم قربانی مناییم از زمزم اشک است شور مدام ما احرام خون بستیم از ظهر عاشورا لبیک اللهم لبیک لبیک لا شریک لک لبیک لبیک اللهم لبیک لبیک لا شریک لک لبیک ما و گذشتن از جان با یک ندای رهبر تا کربلا رسیدن یک یا حسین دیگر یک یا حسین دیگر سرباز روح الله همچون شهیدانیم تا آخرین لبیک بر عهد و پیمانیم لبیک اللهم لبیک لبیک لا شریک لک لبیک لبیک اللهم لبیک لبیک لا شریک لک لبیک مردیم و اهل رزمیم نه سازش و نشستن با تیغ غیرت ماست فرجام کار دشمن فرجام کار دشمن در رم شیطانیم با مرگ بر شیطان ها در قلب میدان است سعی و صفای ما لبیک لا شریک لک لبیک یا ابن الحسن اغثنا عالم شده پریشان یا ابن الحسن اغثنا عالم شده پریشان افتاده کعبه از نو در دست بت پرستان در دست بت پرستان میخواندت کعبه. ای قبله دلها محرم شدن با تو، زیباترین رویا لبیک اللهم لبیک لبیک لا شریک لک لبیک لبیک اللهم لبیک لبیک لا شریک لک لبیک. یا حسین
يا حسين متوجه زيارة. اللهم صل على محمد. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا نبي الله، السلام عليك يا حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا باعث الهدى، السلام عليك يا خير خلق الله، السلام عليك يا نور عرش الله، السلام على محمد بن عبد الله صلى الله عليه وآله، السلام على ابنتك فاطمة الزهراء، السلام على ابن عمك أمير المؤمنين، وعلى صبتيك الحسن والحسين، وعلى 9 المعصومين من ذرية الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر الأحد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب وعلى أخت الحسين زينب الكبرى. السلام عليك يا أم كلثوم والرقية، السلام على السكينة الحسين، السلام عليك يا باب الحوائج يا أبا الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا سيدي مولاي يا باب الحوائج يا موسى بن جعفر، السلام عليك يا سيدي مولاي يا باب المراد يا محمد بن علي التقي الجواد، السلام عليك يا سيدي ومولاي يا إمام الهادي النقي، السلام عليك يا سيدي يا مولاي يا إمام العسكري، السلام عليكم جميع ساداتي وموالي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء، السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس أنيس النفوس أيها المدفون بأرض توس، السلام عليك وعلى آبائك السبعة وأبنائك الأربعة وعلى أختك فاطمة المعصومة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على الحجة ابن الحسن القائم المنتظر المهدي، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن وخليفة الرحمن إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان، عجل الله لك ما وعدك من النصر وظهور الأمر، وجعلنا من عوانك وأنصارك واللائزين تحت لوائك. السلام عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. صل على بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا
حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.